looking at number 6, it gives us equation x plus 4 equals negative 5. And what we want to do is we want to translate from Mathlish to English. And yes, Mathlish is a real language. There's two ways that we communicate about the world, right? We use a spoken language that uses words. So that could be English. And it's not just English, Spanish, German, French, whatever. But then there's another way that we communicate things. So, for instance, I could write, you don't need to write this down, just take a look. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Right? I would say that that's written in Mathlish. How would I write that in English? Well, I could say 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay. Well, the thing is, though, not everyone across our great planet here speaks this language, right? Not everybody speaks English. So they may be the most intelligent person, but if they don't speak the language, they don't know what it says. So what we do is, the reason why you may have heard sometimes that math is referred to as a universal language is that someone from Russia, for instance, who doesn't speak English may have no idea what that says, but they know what that says. So it's the idea of having kind of a common language that's not dependent upon a particular spoken language. And I would tell you is that if you've always struggled with math, it may not be, it's not the case that you're dumb or you're stupid or anything like that. I consider myself a pretty smart guy, but if someone came up to me and started speaking in Russian to me, I don't know, I wouldn't have any idea what they're saying. I'm not dumb, I just don't speak the language. So I would argue with you that maybe it's kind of the same thing for you, is that you're not dumb, you're not stupid, you just maybe don't speak the language all that well, right? So, but once you speak the language, then it becomes a lot easier. So that's what we want to be able to do here, is work on our translation. Now, x, what does x represent? X represents an unknown quantity. Maybe we'll make a note of that. So x represents an unknown quantity, an unknown number. And the way we're going to write this is we're going to say what number? Because that's what we're trying to figure out. Is we're trying to figure out what number plus 4. So all I'm doing is I'm just writing this out in words. As I'm speaking it, I'm just writing what number plus 4 equals negative 5. Negative 5. And it's a question because we're asking that question. What number plus 4 would equal negative 5? So we're saying, instead of putting like question mark, plus 4 equals negative 5, in math we use variables, and so we use letters in the alphabet. But that's really kind of what a variable is. It's kind of just like a question mark. We're saying what plus 4 would equal negative 5. Well, the fact that this is negative, you're saying there's more negatives left over. There must have been more negatives to begin with. So this number would have to be negative. And then what we're doing is we're looking maybe for the difference between, we're saying the difference between this number and 4 is 5. Well, so if I say, well, what would be 5 more than 4? Well, it would be 9. And we said that there must be more negatives, so that would have to be then a negative 9. And so that's what we mean here by solving mentally, is what we don't want to do here, at least not at this point, is though you may be familiar with the steps or the procedures with how to solve an equation in this way, that's not what we're looking for here. What we want to be able to do, so not looking for that. What we want to be able to do is that we want to be able to look at the equation kind of mentally and be able to come up with it. So going back to our original question here, what number plus 4 equals negative 5? What I want to do is that I want to kind of, it's kind of a guess and check thing. Maybe I think the answer is negative 9. So what I'd want to do is I'd want to plug that in and see if it works. So this is a way for me to check my answer. Negative 9 plus 4, there's more negatives. So different signs subtract. 9 minus 4 is 5. Keep the sign of the bigger. So I would have negative 5. So negative 5 equals negative 5. Yep, check. That works. Right, so when we say check your answer, that's the second part of it right there, is plug the number back in, see if it works. Right, and again, this isn't to make you do more work. It's to help you catch yourself from making mistakes. We're all human. We make mistakes, positives, negatives, you multiply wrong, whatever. So by plugging it back in, you're able to catch yourself from making a mistake. Because, let's say I thought the answer, I don't know, let's say I thought the answer was 10. Well, 10 plus 4 is 14, not negative 5, right? So that would be a way that I could catch myself from making a mistake. All right, so this question has two parts. The first part is rewriting it in words. And again, for the variable, we're using what number. And then the second part is actually solving it. And solving it mentally and then substituting in. Again, we're not at this point. We're not looking for it this way. And you can do it that way, I suppose, to kind of check your answer if you want. But really, we're kind of wanting to get at the conceptual here. All right, so go ahead and pause now and try 6.2 and 6.3. All right, so let's check those answers. 6.2 should have got x equals negative 10. Again, you should have both of these filled in. You should have this written out. You solved it mentally, and you checked your work. I'm not doing all of that. I don't need the practice, you do. So this is really just for you to check your answer, but you still got to show all that work. And 6.3, if you take a look at it, x equals negative 7 is the solution you should have got there. And that is number 6.